I remember when I was that kid vulnerable, full of dreams, and just hoping the world would be kind. But life has a funny way of throwing curveballs, doesn't it? I used to think that if you played by the rules, you'd get what you deserved. I was wrong. There I was, young, naive, and proudly clutching my stuffed bunny while boarding a flight that would change everything. Now, let me bring you back to that moment. My daughter Jasmine, just 10 years old, buzzing with excitement for her first solo flight. Innocent as ever, she had no idea what was about to unfold. And that's the ironic part. She expected adventure. What she got was a harsh lesson in prejudice delivered by a flight attendant of all people. It didn't matter that I'd built a life as a successful CEO. In that moment, all that seemed to fade away. Me with my boardroom armour and polished persona was a world apart from her childlike bliss. As I sat at my desk, business deals and numbers swirling in my head, I couldn't have known that a simple phone call would shatter my universe and introduce me to my true self. What would you do if your child faced injustice? Would you fight? Would you stand up for what's right? When I found out what happened to Jasmine, instinct kicked in. I wasn't just a businessman anymore. I was a father determined to shield his little girl from the world's cruelty. And so began a battle to reclaim her dignity and to take on a system that had long turned its back on countless innocent lives. I remember the day it all changed. The office was bustling, but it felt like the walls were closing in on me. I had just made a groundbreaking deal. One I spent sleepless nights perfecting, and the buzz of success was palpable. My team crowded around my desk, their faces aglow with excitement. "Marcus, this could put us on the map," one of my colleagues shouted, clapping me on the back. I smiled, feeling invincible. Little did I know betrayal lurked just inches away. The very next day, I walked into the conference room where the atmosphere was different cold. Their smiles were gone, replaced by tight lips and gauging eyes. "We need to talk." My boss Greg began, his voice steely. "It's about your presentation and some concerns about your management style." His words felt like daggers, each one driven deeper with every syllable. "Concerns," I echoed, disbelief mingling with rage. "I brought in our biggest client. This deal isn't just good, it's transformational." Greg leaned back, crossing his arms, a smirk barely concealing his contempt. "That's the issue, Marcus. We can't have someone like you leading. It doesn't align with our company's vision." Those words pierced through my core. Someone like me, I couldn't even think what he meant. I've worked for years to earn my place. I'm not backing down. "Maybe you should consider your options," he said, looking up as if dismissing a child's tantrum. I felt the heat rising within me, disbelief morphing into fury. How could they not see my worth just like that? A group I had trusted revealed their true colours, cloaked in corporate lingo, but clearly driven by something darker. As the weight of betrayal settled upon my shoulders, the anger ignited a fire inside me. I refused to go down without a fight. With every step I took out of that office, I vowed I would destroy the narratives they had woven. I would make them see the strength in diversity, and I would reclaim what they tried to take from me: my dignity, my future, my daughter's future. This was just a chapter, not the end, and I was ready to write a new one. You know, it's funny how life can throw you into the deep end when you least expect it. There I was thinking that all I had to do was file a complaint and poof, justice would magically appear. Spoiler alert, it doesn't work that way. I felt the frustration bubble as I hit send on that first email to the airline. You know, the one professional tone, a dash of anger and a side order of hope. But what does hope get you, crickets? An auto reply thanking me for my feedback like they were patting me on the back while tossing my concerns into the digital void. Oh, right, because a generic response is the same as empathy. My bad. Each call I made felt like a personal journey into absurdity. Have you ever tried to navigate customer service? It's like being stuck in a hamster wheel. The more I pushed, the more slippery the wheels became. When not being put on hold, I faced skepticism from every well-meaning but utterly clueless representative. You're sure there was a slap? I could almost hear them rolling their eyes through the phone. Oh, of course, I must have imagined it. I just love living in a parallel universe where my daughter gets hit for being a child of colour. But you know what? In the bizarre realm of obstacles, there were these tiny sparks of determination, shout-outs from friends and family, people who had their own horror stories, with that airline spreading like wildfire across social media. It was like, hey, we're not alone in this madness. As the rejections piled up, my resolve solidified like concrete. I was in this for the long haul, like a marathon runner who just had to tie their shoes one more time to feel ready. And deep down, amidst all the noise, my heart wouldn't let me quit. I was going to fight not just for Jasmine, but for every child who's made to feel less than. Because if there's one thing I've learnt through this chaos, it's that the storm always gives way to something brighter. Just hang on. Voice over script turning point. The phone buzzes. Marcus glances at the screen. Just another call. But the words he hears change everything. His heart sinks. A punch to the gut. Jasmine. Panic floods him. The rush of boardrooms and deadlines fades. In an instant, he's not a CEO, he's a father. The world shifts. The polished veneer of control shatters like glass underfoot. He feels rage raw and primal, not for himself, but for his daughter. He grips the desk. His hands tremble. Not my girl. Silence thrums in the air. What is he doing? He closes his eyes. A flood of memories washes over him. Jasmine's laughter, her tiny hand in his, that sweet, innocent smile, all of it stolen in a moment. But in the depths of despair, he feels a spark, a flicker of strength ignites within. This isn't just about him. This is about justice. Marcus straightens. He breathes deep. Enough. The turning point, a fracture line. His rage morphs into purpose. He bloodies the call, mobilizes resources, a whirlwind of action. He will fight, not just for Jasmine, for every child, every parent. Each click of the keyboard is a declaration, every word uttered a battle cry. He envisions a world where Jasmine can fly again, and the tears of despair, they turn to fuel. This is more than a fight. It's a movement, a relentless pursuit of dignity. Marcus is no longer broken. He is unstoppable. In the shadows of injustice he steps into the light. A father's love, a shield against the storm, and the winds of change begin to roar. The tide has turned, and it all starts now. As the dust settled from the chaos and the world began to process Jasmine's story, Marcus Richardson found himself in a high-rise boardroom, the skyline of the city surrounding him like sentinels. The sleek glass table gleamed under the fluorescent lights, but the tension hung heavy in the air. He was flanked by executives, their expressions a mixture of trepidation and regret. With each word he spoke, he filled the room with an unwavering resolve that resonated like a rallying cry. We will not rest until this is addressed. He declared, his voice steady, as he outlined reforms that would protect not just his daughter, but every child who faced discrimination. Each point he made was a direct blow against the complacency that had allowed injustice to fester. Onlookers in the room felt the shift, the power dynamics changing as Marcus stood firm, transforming his pain into purpose. Days later, a headline flashed across the news. Airline CEO steps down after discrimination incident. The victory was bittersweet but hard-earned. He glanced at the screen, a quiet smirk crossing his face. It was a small acknowledgement, one that whispered, "I did it." Just then, his phone buzzed. It was Jasmine. "Dad, are we going to be okay?" she asked, her voice laced with the remnants of fear. "Yes, sweetheart. We're going to be better than okay." The triumph wasn't merely about the headlines or the pounds of corporate accountability he had accumulated. It was about the sonorous laughter they would reclaim as a family. The evenings filled with stories of resilience. Yet despite the applause and the changes unfolding, he knew deep down success didn't erase the scars. It merely made every moment worth fighting for. As we reach the conclusion of this harrowing journey, it's impossible not to reflect on the transformation that both Jasmine and Marcus experienced. Once a 10-year-old girl, excited for her first solo adventure, Jasmine emerged from this nightmare not just as a survivor, but as a symbol of resilience and the fight for dignity. Her father, Marcus, transitioned from a corporate titan focused on boardroom negotiations to a fierce protector of his child's dignity. In their fight against prejudice and injustice, they discovered the deep complexities of power and accountability. What began as an individual battle quickly morphed into a larger movement, exposing the uncomfortable truth about trust and authority. It raises a controversial question. Is revenge truly a form of justice? Or does it perpetuate the cycle of pain? Many will argue that Marcus's quest for accountability overreacted, while others will assert that failing to act would have sent a dangerous message. In the end, the true challenge lies not in the resolution of their own pain, but in how we as a society choose to respond to injustice in our midst. How far are we willing to go to protect those we love? Every one of us holds the power to make a difference, to stand up against the tides of indifference and hatred. We invite you, the viewers, to reflect. What would you do if you were in Marcus's shoes? Share your thoughts, your stories. And let's spark a conversation that continues beyond this screen. While the battle for equality and respect is ongoing, remember, change begins when we refuse to turn away.